Just spit on my gum just in time.
Just in
And
time.
welcome back to another episode of the Brutally Honest Loan Officers podcast. I'm Derek Brown. With me, co-host Stephen Brock.
Hello, hello, hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. 1 week down, another week to go,
Getting
and
towards the end
another.
of the year, getting
Yeah.
closer to a little holiday break. Thanksgiving's coming up, and then we got Christmas after that. Are you ready for? Have you started doing Christmas decorations yet?
Oh yeah, we're fully decorated.
Fully decorated for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Skipped over Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is a day. Christmas is a season.
I really thought you were about to say Christmas is a vibe, and I was gonna like smack you. Uh, yeah, I get that. I think we're hosting Friendsgiving this year, so I think my wife wanted a little bit more Thanksgiving fall decor for a minute, but
I don't think we own fall decor. I think it goes Halloween to Christmas. I don't even know if we have.
I'm okay with that. It would be less decorations for me,
Yeah.
less up and down the attic. But what's that saying? Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
I think it's just happy wife, happy wife.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what it is.
Happy
So,
wife, happy life.
oh man. So today's episode,
Yeah, let's get into
um,
it
probably going to be a little bit quicker one. We're not going to like drag this out. It's
because
this one's
probably being quick with it makes perfect sense.
right. So this is for targeting like specifically for loan officers that are listening. Really anybody can use this. But some of what we talk about will be how like we stay organized throughout the day and get more things done using time blocking.
Yes.
So
Secret weapon.
it's a secret weapon.
I don't know
Um,
about a secret weapon, but it is the
I think it's an underutilized weapon. How about
yes,
that?
as an underutilized weapon.
And I think that in the past, I thought I was good at, like, I thought I had time blocked and I hadn't. Not the way I do now. If I compare myself now compared to like earlier years, no chance. Um, so I don't know. We're going to give you
Yeah. I
kind
mean,
of a
for
structured
me,
version of what we do, how we like, how each time is dedicated to a specific task, um, and kind of go from there. So,
yeah, I thought I had it down pretty good, but we'll go over some things of like where I was like, oh, this is there's one thing of putting it on your calendar, and there's one thing like redoing your calendar after a week. And we'll go more through
right.
it, but let's break it
So,
down. Let's do
yeah,
it.
I mean, time blocking is just basically a method where you schedule your day into certain blocks throughout the day. Each block is dedicated to a specific task, and it just creates a more structured day. Um, and we'll kind of go into details on how like we do that, what it looks like, and specific parts of each day. Um, but yeah, I mean that's simple time blocking. That would be your little definition.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting your calendar ready for how you're going to basically reverse engineer everything, but like how you're going to prospect. When's family time? When's this going to be done? When certain things of your life need to be done. I always tell people when you're doing your calendars is go in there and put all your personal stuff in there. When you got to pick up kids, when you got to drop off kids, when you got this sport, that sport, and then you start working because then those are usually hard times. Like you can't change those around.
Right.
And then you go back and start putting in your workday schedule
I think the
into it.
easiest thing I did, like, started doing time blocks, started color coding my calendar. Color coding helped. But when I did, like, I created a perfect week.
Yeah.
And when I created a perfect week, I had it, like, I made it big, printed it out, had it on my desk. And then I was trying to stay, along that perfect week. And then I realized, like, this is unrealistic. I can't do this. I need to move this from here to here. And then also, like, when my wife says, hey, we signed Audrey up for soccer. That's going to be Mondays and Fridays at 5. Okay, I've got to adjust something because I'm leaving work, a little bit earlier. I've got to go get Bennett, and then to the soccer field, stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
easiest, like one of the best things I did once I started really, doing time blocking was creating that perfect week and then color coding those things and then setting aside time. And I had it start from the moment I wake up. So like I've got it in front of me right now. Wake up at 4:50, 5 a.m. on the way to the gym. I'm back home usually by 6, shower, eat, kid prep, and then by 7, I'm out the door. And then I'm also like I have it noted that like listening to a podcast. Um, by 8 a.m., I'm in my office and I'm reviewing like this is Monday. Monday 8 a.m. Email review from the weekend. So any emails that maybe I just like highlighted, like, okay, I need to take a look at this on Monday. It's not as important or whatever. And then
Yeah.
from that, I know kind of what I need to address first and delegate and go from there.
Yeah, the great aspect of doing all this time blocking part, it just makes you focus on each task and get it done. Like, hey, I have whatever it is. I have my emails between this time and this time, and then I'm out. I'm done. Because we know that we will get distracted, email pop up, something happens, and then you
Right.
get taken off your list. One new thing that I learned very recently was called for Mondays was the Monday hour. And that's where you come in and for an hour, you write everything you need to get done that week. Just write it all
Right.
down. Hey, I need to get all these things done, personal, business, whatever it is, it's all written out. And then you go and label each one that you must do, that you should do, and then that you can delegate out. And then from there, all the must do's go onto your calendar of, hey, I'm going to work on, let's just say, hey, I'm doing a new I'm putting together a new class. I want to work on this class for 30 minutes. I need to work
Right.
on this presentation. Well, I'm going to put it in my calendar of whatever time of the week that presentation must be done because I have to give it the following week. So I must have it complete between this time, let's just say it's 9 to 9:30 on Tuesday. I'm putting it in my calendar. I
Right.
think a lot of people, and this is my evolution recently on the calendar, is I used to have a task list and reminders, and then I had a calendar, and they were two
Right.
separate
Yeah.
things. And like a lot of people are like, "Well, I don't even have a task list." I'm like, "You do in your head, like you know what you're supposed to be doing." So I started putting everything now on the calendar. If I'm going to work on a certain task, that of just a reminder to do it, or like a checkbox on my task
Well,
list that I
yeah.
actually put in the calendar. Here's my time. I said I'm going to work on this, and that's what I'm going to do.
Right. So, like, and specifically for me, previously, Wednesday afternoon, 3 p.m. is when I had a time set to work on the education moment for my BNI chapter on Thursday.
Mhm.
And there were times where, like, I go back to our notes from a membership meeting, find out, like, some of the topics we want to discuss over the next couple of weeks. So I have an idea of what we want to talk, like, what we want to have an education moment on, but then I would start doing that. And then, like, the hour that I had set aside, now I'm not done and I'm about to pass through that hour.
Yeah.
So then I realized like I also like would create it and then later that night I'm reviewing what I created so that I'm prepared for Thursday morning when I have to give the education moment. And that's when I realized I'd just rather do it the night before.
Mhm.
I'd rather like so kids go down at 8 p.m. I'm working on the education moment. I'm prepared, like I'm doing it right then and there. It's still fresh in my mind. I don't have to re-review something, So I took it off of my Wednesday afternoon
Yep.
and I prefer to just do it the night before.
So is it on your Wednesday night now?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I like
And
how
it's
you said
highlighted
that.
red because
uh,
that's my color for BNI.
I like the color coding is like, I like to make things like prospecting wise green because that's when you're actually making money. So I have, whatever color you make something, that's fine. But I would do that. And then what we were talking about earlier is like going back to your calendar and looking at it. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I just completely like it's Friday right now when we're recording this, that if I go back through my week, I go and change my calendar to what I actually did. So I can go back at any time and say, well, yeah, why are leads slow right now? It must be the market. And I look back and I'm like, well, you prospected 2 hours last week. That's why it's slow.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
makes you really
exactly.
go back like, oh man, like I did not prospect at all. Like I thought I was busy and maybe I was busy, but I was busy doing operations stuff, not prospecting, doing what we call old business, not bringing in new business. So,
Oh
yeah.
man. Yeah. And that's where like, especially when we get busier and we've got loans in the pipe, like you can't help but get dragged back into loans sometimes, answering questions, Um, but that's where I review emails in the morning from the day before, anything that wasn't addressed, or especially if it happened later in the afternoon and I didn't get to it. But I'll like start delegating and make a list of everything that needs to get done in the morning. Like, so I'm delegating things out. I know that I need to work on this during this certain time block, and then it just, it's, I have a clear plan for how the rest of my day is going to go.
Yeah.
And one thing I also learned, for the most part, you can call people back.
Yeah.
Because I used to think like I cannot miss a phone call from a potential customer, a referral partner. If a realtor is calling me to talk about like a client that we have under contract right now, that I don't have to answer that right away.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when, for whatever reason, buyers right now or consumers, they want to call somebody and get an answer. And honestly, like if you call somebody and just like they're not busy ever, you may not be doing a lot of business. So I don't know what that translates to. You know what I mean? But I used to like have super anxiety about that
Yeah.
until like I finally just like had enough, and I was like, I'm just gonna start calling people back because I've got to finish this and this and this. It was just making my day so much like so much more stressful. And then that's when I like started calling people back, like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Call, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh no, that's fine.
You guys probably have, because I know you have an Android. Like on iPhone, you can put it
You had to
onto.
throw that out there. You had
I'm
to throw
just
that
saying,
out there. Really?
because you can
Talking
explain this
shit.
part. On the iPhone, you can go into Focus and put it on Drive. So anybody that calls you, it sends them a text message. Now it has like, I am driving or whatever when I get where I'm at. So you can change it to be whatever it is. Hey, I'm between, I'm working or whatever, like, hey, call my team, do this, or here's the application link or whatever. Like I'm working on whatever you want to put in that text message, you can have in there. And like that is a huge one to really stop you from looking at stuff. I also say a big one is you said your phone calls in there. Have every phone call time that you're supposed to do. Like, hey, I'm calling, for, Derek and I've been in coaching for a while, is that Mondays is you're calling your realtors, Tuesday your update calls. Wednesdays is that your past clients? Is that when you call them?
Yeah.
Wednesday past clients, Thursday pre-approvals, and then your
Friday,
fifth,
favorite people.
yeah, your favorite people, bonus day, whatever some people call builders or whatever it is, in that spot. So I have that time blocked out, 9 to usually first thing in the morning, 9 to whenever. I kind of know how long it's going to take me on each group.
Right.
Because the other thing is if I push it into, hey, I'm going to do it at 1 o'clock, I know it won't get done because other stuff will happen. So always front load the most important task that you need to get done. The prospecting stuff front loaded all the time in there.
Yeah. No. Agreed. And that's when, if I'm going through those calls, I'm not answering incoming calls unless maybe it's like if I'm calling realtors and realtor calls me back. Great.
Yeah.
But if it's, a client calling to discuss something that I sent over the weekend, like, I'll call you back.
Hmm.
There's a couple times where I really try not to, but if I know somebody is on like a very strict schedule and I will not be able to reach them later in the day, I might. But that's, I mean, probably few and far between anyways.
Yeah.
So, but it's that clear structure that helps you prevent getting sidetracked, because it's so easy to get sidetracked. And there were times where, like, in the past too, at the end of the day, I'm like, hell yeah, like I had a really busy day. And then like I'd start like going back and looking, and then lead tracker, and like I fill out my greatness tracker that shows like all the calls and like all the work I did. And then I'd start realizing like I was busy, but I wasn't productive.
Yeah.
And that's, time blocking helps me stay productive
And I
versus busy.
and
There's
I
a
feel
big
like
difference there.
anybody in sales will try to get busy to get away from doing what they know they need to do, but they hate doing. Is it making phone calls? Is it some form of prospecting or something that you just don't like to do? You'll get busy doing everything else. You'll get sucked into a file. Oh, I just worked 2 hours on this file, and that's not technically bringing, really moving the needle. There's other people that can work on the file, and I'm trying to remember. I think it was Robbie when he was my coach that said that. So I was definitely newer as an LO when he was my
A
coach, but it
little
was
baby LO.
baby LO. And, I was the same way. I was like, oh, but I'm doing this and that and that. And he looked at me and he was like, you can't prospect at midnight. You can't call a bunch of realtors at
You can work
midnight
on
for
a loan
client,
at midnight though.
but I can work on a loan then. And he goes like, when you're new, you have sometimes that's what you have to do. Or when the market is slower, that's what you have to do. You have to work on stuff that you don't need to talk to anybody at a different time. Now,
Oh, bro,
when I,
when we were going through the refi boom,
yeah,
I was a king of working late at night on refis. So during the day when I needed, like, especially like, and not to say that, certain people took precedent, um, but my purchase business came first because if we don't close on time, somebody could be homeless and it could be a domino effect of people not closing on time. So at night is when I really worked on a lot of the refis.
yeah.
As far as all the loan work and, somebody did an application, we're pulling credit, I'm reviewing documents, you didn't send up to date pay stubs, stuff like that, all like the paperwork side of things, and then, I mean, the only thing that you have to do during the day on that, maybe talk to a client about something or, locking a rate. You have to do that while, market's open and stuff. You can't do that at midnight.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was doing a ton of stuff late at night.
And you had to, because then you have family time in between. So you have, okay, I've done the workday work. I have my family stuff that I have to do. And then when everybody goes to bed, like, hey, I'm back into these files, finishing it. And
Right.
there are parts of your people always want that, like, oh, I want this team and all this stuff and all these people. And it's like, well, you technically have to work all this time and produce to get that team member that will stop you from working at
Right.
night. But
Well,
until
and
you're working at night, you're basically not getting. Now, I say working at night because you are actually productive all through the day.
right.
Busy work and then working at night means you're just not productive. You're not
Yeah,
doing
we're
the
not
right
talking
thing.
about going to the movies and then working at night.
Yeah.
You don't go to the movies for a matinee and then say you know, you were productive and now you're going to work on loans. No, no, no.
If you're prospecting 6, 7 hours during the day and going through all these events and meeting all these people and meeting the right people and realtors and doing all this and all the phone calls and all that and hey, now I need to work on this file because this person sent all their documents in and I need to get it done for the pre-approval. Yeah, I'm doing this pre-approval at 8 o'clock at night. It is what it is. It's what you got to do.
Right.
Like that's different. But if you were just lollygagging and they put their documents to you at early in the morning and you just never got to it because you were too busy making sure something else was happening that wasn't as important. That's different.
You also touched on something too. But I like, so when I first started, like, I was told to create your perfect week.
Mhm.
And so I just Excel file Monday, Tuesday, and then weekend or whatever. And everything I put on there at first was work related.
Yeah.
It was all work. And then that's
Oh yeah.
when my coach at the time was just like, oh, well, okay, no time for you, family, kids, lunch. Like I just didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so I went back through it and I was like, okay, wow. So then, like, yes, it did start earlier. Talk about when I go to the gym in the morning. I have a lunch break. I have when I leave my office, I've got like from 5 to 7 family time. That's when we play with the kids, get ready for dinner, have dinner, then start bath. We do bedtime and stuff like that. And then it's usually about 8 o'clock back at, either working and then, me time. It's just me time.
Yeah. Yeah. Always work backwards. Always put the family stuff in first and then work around that. Work, 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 I can't say work around family time, put work in. There you go. That's how I'm going to say it.
What are you making a tongue twister?
Yeah. Freaking tongue twisters. But yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's definitely put in that family time and then you work backwards on that of putting when you're working. And that's where you become productive. Like, hey, you start realizing like today I gotta go get my kids after school today because it's one of those days that I need to go get them. And my wife is busy, so now I have to move things around. Well, instead of working 9 to 5, I'm working 9 to 3. So that means there's 2 hours that I have to basically put in that 9 to 3 now
right.
and get it done.
Right. So I touched on this a second ago. talking about like some of the tools we use, and it doesn't have to be difficult.
No, not
You
at
don't need
all.
to go get some super $100 a month time blocking app. My perfect week started with an Excel spreadsheet.
Hmm.
That's what it started with. Now I just use my calendar. However, I will say that um, like I make sure that my work calendar on my desktop is the same, like it reflects everything on my phone and stuff like that. But I mean, it started with an Excel spreadsheet. I don't have any crazy apps that help me time block. I set reminders on my phone. I do
Yeah.
that. Sometimes I'll set timers. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I just use the Outlook calendar. I mean, I have Calendly to book appointments, but I have it, hey, between this time and this time. But like, yeah, to get my calendar set up was a spreadsheet. I think it was on a piece of paper. Probably went to a spreadsheet and then okay, put it into a calendar and get it all set up and time blocked out and when to do it. And I want you to think about this is if you hired somebody today, can they pull up your calendar and put in an appointment for you at whatever time? That's how you have to book your calendar. This is when this is happening. This is where, so when you get to that stage of having a team and they need to book stuff for you, that they can just look at your calendar like boom, here, kind of thing. It makes it
right,
so much simpler. It makes your life run more efficiently. And when you have that team member come on, you're already running at that efficient level with it. So
right, yeah, agreed. Um, but yeah, I mean, so as far as tools go, and I'm sure that there are some apps out there that are super convenient, so like that. I just don't think you need to pay money for
yeah,
it. It's just a matter of creating your week, adjusting it, reviewing it. Review your day at the end of the day. Did you stay on track? Were you losing track of time? Were you not staying like, did you not complete everything that you wanted to? Are there things that you should have delegated versus working on yourself? And then, as far as loan officers go, like we have to prospect. We have to continually prospect. So are you making sure that you are prospecting at some point during the day?
yeah.
You know, so if you're a loan officer, you feel like hours in the day are just slipping away, and you end every single day saying, like, I wish I had more hours in the day. You're probably not time blocking effectively.
Yeah.
So, and
I
it's
would
more
say.
than just scheduling. You've got to be specific. You've got to figure out, like, what meetings do I normally have on this day, that day, mark it off, color it, leave time for drive time. If you're driving to an appointment, driving back. Is there something that you could be doing on the drive?
Yeah.
Certain phone calls that you don't need to be in front of your computer. Yeah, knock that out. Add that to it. Make a note, you know, for this 30 minutes of driving from here to there, I have 30 minutes to call this group of people.
Yep. And
So,
and if you're put your lunch on there, and then that's when you're like, oh, I'm trying to book a lunch with a realtor, or I'm trying to book a lunch with a referral partner on those. Like I have my lunches booked out, but I really would like it to be with somebody for my business kind of thing. Or even put in, hey, I'm having lunch with my wife or husband or whatever it is with my significant other. We're having a lunch date instead of doing date night, but also put date nights in there. Put all these different items of family in there too. And the
right,
color coding, whatever color coding you decide is fine. I picked three main colors, and by that, I'm like not the colors, but like groups: family, prospecting, not prospecting. Those are the three. So I can easily go through and tell how much color from those colors was I actually prospecting? Was I making phone calls, having lunch, was it a realtor, having whatever with it? That's how I color coordinate everything. And I mean, those are the colors after like, going back through the week and looking back and changing them to that so I can easily see it. I'll
right,
have like coaching as a certain color on there, but once it's completed, or my blank ones like, hey, I'm having lunch between this time. It could be non-prospecting or could be prospecting. But whatever colors you guys choose, that's just pick it, stick with it, and then go back for more. Or hey, red is non-prospecting, but this color red, maybe a different shade of it kind of thing. So it's easy for you to see.
right.
But yeah, I
Love it.
think that's really it on time blocking.
If anybody listening has a specific question, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know. love to
Yeah.
see if we can help you in any way. If you want us to send you an example of our perfect week, we can do that too. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you for joining us. This was another episode of the Brutally Honest Lawn Officers Podcast. See you next week.
See you guys.